Jericka, you've been covering the case. You've been to the courthouse many, many times. So there we have a verdict. He is guilty of 2 of the 5 counts and escaping a guilty verdict on perhaps the most serious, which is predatory sexual assault. But the other 2 that he was found guilty of, they're pretty serious charges as well.
They are, and we're looking at 5 to 25 years in terms of the sentencing, according to our legal analyst, CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman. And just want to go through those counts again because, you know, you're talking about 5 different charges here. The most serious, as you mentioned, was predatory sexual assault. That had to do with Mimi Haley and Annabella Sciorra. That second count was criminal sexual act against Mimi Haley, which he was found guilty of. The third count was predatory sexual assault. That dealt with Jessica Mann and Annabella Sciorra, not guilty on that count. That fourth count, rape in the first degree, Jessica Mann, not guilty. And then guilty on that fifth count, rape in the third degree against Jessica Mann. This has been a long trial, a long process, Anne-Marie, as you know. It really started with that 2017 New York Times article in which they reported that Harvey Weinstein had reached settlements with several women who had accused him of sexual assault. And again, the floodgates sort of opened, and by the end, you have over 80 women that accused him of rape or sexual assault. And this trial, people were really focusing on it to see what would happen. And essentially, again, not guilty on the most serious, but guilty on criminal sexual act and rape in the third degree. I want to read a statement that just came in from the National Women's Law Center. This is the organization that is linked with the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. It says, today's verdict delivers a measure of justice to the survivors who came forward at great personal risk to tell their horrific stories of abuse. This is again from Fatima Goss-Graves, the president and CEO of the National Women's Law Center. She goes on to say, I am so grateful to them and inspired by their courage. Their accounts revealed how sexual abuse erodes self-worth, demolishes careers, and why survivors often keep silent. I'm sure a number of tweets will be coming in as this news is just breaking within the last 10 to 15 minutes. But again, Harvey Weinstein found guilty on 2 of the 5 charges. And let's not forget, he's also facing charges in Los Angeles for sexual assault. Anne-Marie?
That's right. That's with 2 incidents that happened sort of back to back up before the Oscars. So at this point, where do we go from here with Harvey Weinstein? He's still a very, very wealthy man. You say he's facing significant jail time. Often with these cases, you know, there's a petition to appeal on some level or another. Is he going to have to go straight to jail?
We're waiting to find out, but we do expect, as you just mentioned, for his defense team to appeal this decision. We know that the district attorney's office is expected to hold a news conference any minute now on the 15th floor, where we'll likely learn more of those details. You know, I reached out to the district attorney's office in Los Angeles last week to find out if there was someone here that was waiting to find out how this would end and if he would then be arrested or taken to Los Angeles. They said they would not comment. So it's still unclear exactly what happens to him next, but we know that he has been not just charged now, but convicted of 2 very serious crimes.
And I suppose if these convictions stick, he's going to have to register as a sex offender.
That's what we're hearing. Anne-Marie, honestly, I need to confirm that for myself, but that is what we're hearing with that criminal sexual act and rape in the third degree.
Okay, Jericka, thank you very much. I'm going to pick it up with Paul Batiste, because you're our attorney, Paul. What is the difference between rape in the third degree versus rape in the first degree? He was found guilty for the same incident, but different degrees.
Well, I think it becomes in the jurors' minds, and according to the instructions, a matter of the force that was applied by Weinstein, the circumstances. In one instance, there was arguably an imprisonment of one of the victims. It really turns very much on what actually happened. But they're both very serious charges. And, you know, he was, until 10 minutes ago, he was entitled to the presumption of innocence. That's now been stripped of him. And he faces serious jail time with respect to the first and third degree rape charges. it really kind of doesn't matter in terms of what the sentence is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a heavy sentence, and I'll take one step further here, and maybe I shouldn't. I know Judge Burke. He's a fine judge. He's a very tough judge, and I'll make a prediction which probably will be wrong. The judge will remand him to custody immediately, which means that he'll be put in handcuffs and he'll go out the back door of the building to the Tombs, the downtown jail, rather than emerge on a walker from the front door. He's a man in very deep trouble.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, it certainly sort of underlines a dramatic descent. Here's a man that was the toast of Hollywood, and the man who could make you or break you, give you an Oscar by kind of choosing what movies that you could be in, and to a jail cell in New York. It's really something.
I can assure you, the Tombs is not a pleasant place to be.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So he was found not guilty on the more serious counts of predatory sexual assault. That required the jury to believe Annabella Sciorra.
It would have required the jury to believe her. They had a full readback of her testimony of events that occurred almost, indeed, more than 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And apparently, without in any way criticizing Annabella's integrity or testimony, the jury wasn't willing to take that extra step, cross that bridge of giving her testimony sufficient credit to convert him into a predatory sex offender. But again, Anne-Marie, when you're talking about a man who is 67 years old, mm-hmm. who stands convicted of the things he is now convicted of, he's no longer an innocent man. You really are talking about a life sentence.
Right. I mean, it's clear that he's not in the best of health. The minimum charge there, rape in the third degree, I think comes with a possibility of a 4-year sentence, which, I'm sure many people would think that's sort of not much. But keeping in mind his age and his health, and then you have, the other charge, a criminal sex act. And then, of course, he is facing additional charges in California. So, how does that work when, one state is dealing with with a case and another state is sort of waiting? What happens if he's found guilty and if he is remanded into custody and goes to jail? Then how does California then get a hold of him?
Well, California and any number of things can happen. California and New York can cooperate very quickly in terms of transferring him from the custody of a New York prison, or from if he remains free on bail, send him to California for trial. More often than not, in a situation like this where there are parallel indictments in various states' courts, the second to indict state will wait, believe it or not, until the sentence is completed in the first conviction. Yeah. So, it may be that his trial in California will occur promptly within the next few months. It may also be that it may be dropped. It may be suspended until such time as he's released from prison, should that ever happen. There are any number of possible combinations.